lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum. But if you'd like to join this discussion right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Quantum Eraser, Slick James Johnson, Sleeping Warrior, Phil, Paul, Mac, King, Chocolate Sane, Arwin, and 10th Man. Very good to have you all.
Yo.
Hello.
Hello.
Now,
Good morning.
if it's good by the panel, I'm happy to dispense with housekeeping on account of the fact that we've got a very good conversation going on about retrograde motion and what the stars in the sky actually prove. Are you all good to carry on with that conversation?
Yep.
To be honest, I thought the point was concluded when he accepted that when he looked it up on Wikipedia. My point was that it's claimed to be apparent retrograde motion rather than retrograde motion, because it's only from our perspective where it appears that planets appear to go backwards. But that doesn't mean that they are going backwards. It's from our perspective, meaning that the planets could be doing something else, or the lights in the sky could be doing something else, but it's just from our perspective. We don't know what's going on without a third perspective from perhaps, say, Mars or whatever. And he's kind of accepted that the phrase is apparent retrograde motion. I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, I think that the point might be closed.
Fair enough. It was summarised beautifully for the live show, so I'm happy with that. Right, let's do housekeeping then. Any signs of actual Earth curvature?
Nope.
I had something to say on that.
None at all.
On Earth curvature or retrograde motion?
On the retrograde motion.
Feel free.
Earth curvature.
I was late to the party here, so who asked the question?
I did.
And who's I?
Phil?
What's up, Phil? I don't think we met before.
How's it
So
going?
the question was, did you ask us to explain retrograde motion? Was that what the motif?
No, it is retrograde motion seems to validate the heliocentric model, and I was just checking what Flat Earth had to say about that.
So
Or not
retrograde
Flat Earth,
motion,
but non-ball Earth.
so retrograde motion seems to validate the heliocentric reification fallacy, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have scientific evidence for us?
Just observations.
We don't. Any idiot can observe. We need scientific validation of their fallacy.
Okay.
That's what we need.
If
As
it's
for
going to be
us,
claimed as scientific, though.
as for us,
If he's just
I mean,
talking,
I
then
never.
he's just talking.
Hold on a second, Arwin. I
Yeah.
thought I was still talking.
Can
As
this not
for
be a
us,
debate?
oh God, just go ahead. You can go ahead and speak for me. Go ahead, no problem. Clowns.
Well, anyway, I mean, it's just through observations and predictions where the certain stars are going to be.
Observation and predictions. What prediction? Is it a scientific prediction?
I guess, sure.
I guess. Do you have a hypothesis? Because that's what a scientific prediction is.
Hypothesis of where stars are going to go.
Listen, it's not my claim, it's yours. What's your hypothesis that proves or validates the heliocentric reification fallacy? Or model, same thing. So there are no predictions. no scientific predictions. You may have a Mystic Meg prediction or a post-diction. You may have one of those. I don't know if any flat earthers on the panel brought up the subject of retrograde motion. I know I don't. I mean, I don't have explanations
anybody?
for things I don't make claims for. I didn't make a claim for it. That's why I was asking the panel who claimed retrograde motion.
Nobody.
Yeah. So why are you asking us? Go ask the Baltards about their retrograde motion, and then ask them what's their scientific evidence that validates their heliocentric reification fallacy.
We did actually cover this on the last show. It wasn't broadcast and you weren't here, so you wouldn't know this, but we actually went through how this is used as a heliocentric proof, and Phil was kind enough to beg the question and assume his outcome in his example, and we pointed that out to him, and he did actually concede it. He's actually been a really nice guest so far.
Well, I'm sorry I missed that part. Please forgive me.
It's fair enough. It's fair enough. I just don't want him to get the same punishment twice, because especially as he conceded.
I'm not trying to punish him. I'm just trying to listen. I'm just listening to the words he's saying. He's talking about predictions and models. I mean, I don't know. Have you been keeping up to date on the flat Earth debate?
Yes, and there's different. A lot of flat earthers will point out different reasons why. Sometimes it goes with they tend to magnetic correspondence of sound waves, the way motion.
I'm a flat earther, and I've never made that claim before. Be careful about stereotyping, right? Because that's a fallacy too. And then you get into big trouble because the next words out of your mouth are either going to be a straw man or an argument from ignorance fallacy. Or a baseless assertion, one of the three. So try not to use fallacies.
Yeah, I covered that.
If you have a specific guy on this panel that said something about retrograde motion, that's a different story. But a lot of flat earthers or a lot of this or a lot of that, that's a stereotype fallacy. I don't play that game.
Well, then some flat earthers.
Well, then go find the some that did and find out their explanation, because I never made no nonsensical claims like that. And I'm a flat earther. In fact, I'm a flat, non-spinning
heliocentric deniers.
I'm a flat, non-spinning, domed Earth, young Earth creationist. In fact, now, if you got any points with that, we could talk about.
No.
Okay. Sorry about that, Nathan. Sorry for interrupting. Please
it's
forgive
fine.
me.
Reiterating my point, I'm never going to stop that. That's fine. Originally,
No,
your
go
point,
ahead.
anyways.
So go ahead with your show, sir.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I'm not sure where I'm at. We were going through housekeeping, weren't we? What I'd like to do, I'd like to present some flat Earth supporting evidence, given that we get criticised for not having our own evidence. There's more than enough evidence for the Earth being not a sphere. And we can indeed support the assertion that it appears to be, well, flat. I don't like saying that it's flat because I realise I have to then prove it's flat everywhere. But I'm happy that it's flat where I live. That doesn't mean it's flat everywhere. I accept, but I can demonstrate flatness where I live, and I'm fine with that. So what I'm going to present...
Oh, boy.
Wrong one. That again.
You want presenting?
Pardon?
You need me to present to you?
Yes, please.
Yeah, you're on.
So basically, what's happened is Sly Sparkane put out a challenge for me and Ranty to join him on a hangout last night, and I refused because basically Sly, he back in the day when we started doing the Isle of Man stuff, my original video, that's the highest viewed video on my channel with 135,000 views, asked this question. It said, "What the F is this land here?" Because at the time, it appeared to me to be floating, and it was described as floaty land or dirty air or whatever. And we were trying to work out what this thing is. And it was taken from an elevation position that was alongside some caravans. And let me just get back to this bit here, because it shows where it was. And all I did was I showed where I was so that people really couldn't argue where I was. But what they did argue was what height this was at. And this went back and forth for ages. On Google Earth, it was quoted at about 35 feet. Turns out to be, I think it was 47 or 49 feet at this point. And it's really not a big deal at this point. The challenge was made by Sly Sparkane to go and repeat this observation from the beach. So I did. I went back and I repeated the same observation from the beach. So what you need to point, or what you need to be aware of is what I can see here. Now you can see that these two peaks are the two mountains that are here. And then you can see that the land drops off and then it appears to drop into the water. And that appears to be where it stops. And then we see that there's a gap where the water is. And then we see that there's more land here. And this land turns out to be Isle of Man. Now at the time, the question that I asked was, what is this land? Okay. So asking the question, there is a question mark there. It is a question. So Sly Sparkane challenged me to go back and get the same footage because basically he did not accept that this was possible from ground level because he doesn't believe we live on a sphere. So I went back and I got the same footage from the beach. Now you can just about see, I'm going to play this video because you can see that I don't initially identify, I don't recognize the land I'm looking at. I can't recognize the contours. So I have to pan over to the left because I don't recognize this. And I identify something that I recognize, which would be, this is North Barul, the mountain at North Barul. Snaefell's just off to the left. But now I know where I'm at. I can follow it down and it comes into the water like the nose cone and then drops into the water the way it did do on the previous video, right? So I know where I'm at. If what I saw was land, I should now go across an expanse of water and then I should come across the land again. And what do you know? When I go across the land, go across the expanse of water, I find the same set of land. Now, granted, it's squashed and it's faint, but it's definitely there. There's definitely land in the imagery. Now, this was taken lay on my belly on the beach, and I'll prove that in a sec at the end of the clip. But there's the land in question. So it's not possible to get this footage from the beach. And it's not even possible to get it from the elevation when I first took the footage. So when Sly challenged me to go back and get the same footage from the beach, and I then go and do that, the least he can do is acknowledge that we are actually seeing the land. Now, Sly obviously now claims, he backtracks and he goes, oh, well, it's not actually the land you're seeing, it's a mirage. Well, we've all seen the weatherman say, what you see here is a mirage. No, this is not a mirage. We are seeing the land. It's exactly the same way that we saw it before. It's not a mirage. But he insists that it's a mirage. So what I'm now going to show is what is a mirage in this context. Same patch of land, different day, different weather conditions, but this is a mirage. We're looking at the point where the
hold on. Can you just make it full? Can you just make it full screen? Perfect.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's great.
So this is the this is on my channel. And it's, will the real looming please stand up? This is not looming. I'm only asking the question to stimulate conversation. But on this particular day with weird weather conditions, this is what is a mirage. There's the two peaks again. So we're looking from this part that was just on screen then, and we're going to follow it down, and it'll drop into the water like a nose cone of a front end of a plane. And so we'll know that we're looking at the same amount, at the same area. But what I'm looking at here is this band of like messy air. So we've got the land that's coming down now. We can see that there's a band that's on the lower part, but it's taking up quite a high proportion of the image. We can see that there is something at the bottom there. And as the land drops into the ocean or drops into the sea, we can see that for some reason, something else is happening. And now the land doesn't drop into the sea anymore. There appears to be lines going across where we know that there is actually water. This is a mirage. I don't know really what's going on here, but look what's happening. The land that comes back in is only represented in the mirage, but there's no land at the bottom for some reason. That's where the land really is. But for some reason, it's being manifest on top of it. Notice that it's not upside down in this image. Normally a mirage is upside down, but whatever's really going on in this image is this is a mirage of some kind. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what causes it. It's just something that I'm seeing on this particular day. And Sly claims that what I originally saw when I went to the beach is a mirage. Well, I think everybody will agree with me that what I'm actually looking at here is actually a mirage because it's duplicating, or it's I don't know what's going on here. All I can say is that this is a different day, different weather conditions, and I can see the land clearly here in the top image, but not in the bottom image. I don't know why. So this is really a mirage, Sylvester. What you're claiming is a mirage in the video that I got back when I went back to the beach is not a mirage. because it matches the land that we saw before, but it also it's just been compressed for some reason, which, can I just point out, doesn't appear in the curve calculators for this so-called curvature of the Earth. There is no compression aspect, and this is obviously an effect of perspective that's omitted, that the ball has refused to acknowledge and accept is something to do with what we see. Perspective, the way our eye sees things. This is what we're actually seeing. This is land. It's not a mirage. I've shown you what a mirage is. This is land, and Sly will not accept it. However, this is supposed to be 700 feet behind the curve of the Earth. So if the Earth's a sphere, this is not possible to be seen, right? It's not possible. So lay on my belly on the beach. I can see this land 700 feet behind the apparent curve, the claimed curve. There is no curve. This is impossible on a sphere. I can see for 34 miles, and I can see lay on my belly at the beach. I can see land that shouldn't be seen because of the geometry of the Earth. We're not living on a ball. This proves it. Sly will not accept that it's land, insists that it's a mirage. I've shown what a mirage is. It's not a mirage. This is the land. It's impossible on a sphere. And I'll just finish this video by showing what happens to demonstrate the point that I am lay on my belly at the beach. And the dog walks in front of the camera right towards the end of this clip. I turn off the contrast, which is here. I turn off the contrast and I turn off the effects so that we can enhance what we're looking at. You'll see the dog's walking in front of the camera now. And then as I zoom out, I mean, this wasn't even on a good visibility day either. This wasn't perfect conditions. This is just a day. So there's the level of the camera, and you can see as I pick it off the floor, it's on that little mound of dirt. That was my tripod. Now, people like the Rumpus tell people that I was like 10 feet above the water there. Well, even if I mean, it's preposterous to assert that I'm 10 feet above the water there. I mean, look how far away these people are, and they're children, and they're about 4 feet tall, and I am not 4 feet above them. But notice as well that they are below the horizon, which is interesting. They're all below the horizon. Perspective. But look, you can make your own mind up how low this was. I'll give you a foot, but I'm not giving you any more than a foot. And it's preposterous to allege that it's 10 feet. But we can see 34 miles, and it should be gone behind the curve of the Earth. And Sly will not accept it. So that's flat Earth proof for me. That proves to me that we are not living on a sphere, because you can't see that land that I got at that level of viewing. So I just wanted to present that, because people forget about these things if we don't keep drumming it. We can demonstrate that the Earth's not a sphere, and we don't have to demonstrate that it's flat. And that footage does prove that the Earth cannot be spherical, because it's not a mirage, Sly.
I have something to point out.
Yeah.
Here in the Scientific American, it says what causes a mirage. And it says the perfect ideal conditions for mirage are still air on a hot, sunny day over a flat surface.
I'm not sure we can quote from Scientific American anymore, because what it says in Scientific America, apparently it means the opposite. Fight the Flat Earth thinks that he's got a position on me, which is basically he thinks that I've got the opposing position of what it actually says in a Scientific American article written by a guy called Judge Musa. Literally, it says one thing, but it means apparently the opposite. So I'm not sure we should use a citation from Scientific American unless Fight the Flat Earth accepts that what's written in Scientific American is actually what it means. I'm happy to accept it, but just be aware
what
that
Fight the Flat Earth has to say about that. And Georgie Porgy, if you're listening out there, I'll tell you what, I can't wait for you to stick your little toe in this argument, brother, because me and you got a meeting. Okay? Thanks.
So wait, so did Fight the Flat Earth ever set up that interview with that guy, or is he still missing in action?
No, he's not. He has. It seems that he has done it. He's done a teaser video on his channel in the last 24 hours, and he does show that he is in conversation with a guy that does look a little bit like the guy. I'm happy to accept that it is George Musa himself, but for some reason he won't release it until like May the 20th, and I'm like, it's weird, because if it was me, and if it was Sly or Sean or GeoStreamer or any of the other normal people that are in this discussion, it'd be the first thing that you would do and release it once you've got it. But for some reason, he appears to be very.
He won't release it till when?
May the 20th.
May the 20th.
I don't know why.
It's not even.
He's
What?
being told not to by someone, as if he's perhaps paid by someone to not do it. I don't get why he would do that.
Well, maybe he's gonna time it with some kind of event or something. It's for
Okay,
advertising.
I would
or-
like to summarise the actual disagreement. So, there is an assertion by Anthony made that the pseudo-Riemannian 4 space used in Einstein's mathematics is somehow derived from the Euclidean 3 space mathematics that is used in Newtonian. So, this is just a done deal already, as far as I'm concerned. I know we talked about this earlier, Anthony, but the one does not mathematically work in the other. It's just as simple as that. You are right, and Craig is wrong. One is not derived from the other. The mathematics don't work.
So let me just
not the point.
particularize that.
That's not the point. Georgie Porgy is going to come out here, right? And he's going to contradict himself. I have no problem with that. He not only did it in that article, but other articles. That's the point.
He might.
I'm sorry, I was
he's going to have to move. You'll have to move the goalposts.
I don't think he actually does. He even do live streams or just upload videos?
All right, Nathan, put me back on screen. I'll present what the argument is.
Okay.
We've cited this article from Scientific American, written by a guy called George Musa, who wrote on November the 1st, 2015. He wrote about Einstein. And what he says in his article, now Craig's position prior to me citing this article is that Einstein added to, he kind of refined or supported or made it more precise, but he didn't. My position is that Einstein replaced it. It's that simple. And in this article, I cite from this frequently, and Craig says that I misunderstand what's written. And it reads, for instance, Einstein created his theory of general relativity with the express purpose of expunging non-locality from physics. That bit's not contentious. It's this bit that's the contentious bit. Musa writes that Isaac Newton's gravity acted at a distance as if by magic, and general relativity snapped the wand in two by showing that the curvature of space-time and not an invisible force gives rise to gravitational attraction. Now, the problem is, Craig says that I've misinterpreted this. So I then presented a secondary article by George Musa again, then 3, 4, and 5 from Brian Cox, Caltech, and an article, a documentary from a BBC, I think it might have been BBC, some TV program that demonstrated the same point 5 times. I've got 5 citations saying that he replaced Newtonian principles. But Craig thinks that I've misinterpreted what's written here. So Craig's position is that somehow I've misinterpreted what he says. Now, when it says general relativity snapped the wand in two by showing that the curvature of space-time and not an invisible force gives rise to gravitational attraction, I think the only angle that Craig's got is to argue that just because it's not an invisible force doesn't mean it's not a force. Because that's the only word where I can see wiggle room. But the context of what's actually written, he's comparing general relativity and the magic of Newtonian principles. He snaps that magical wand in two. That's what it literally says. I can't see how it's been misinterpreted. If it has been misinterpreted, he's going to have to move the goalposts, because George Musa has either written an article that is basically ambiguous to what he intended the reader to read, or it means what it says, that he snaps the wand in two.
Just to add a bit of conjecture, that was where John piped up a second ago. So John's opinion is that George is going to contradict himself. Is that right, John?
Sorry, man, I'm eating breakfast. No, I'll get you in a couple minutes.
Well, while John's eating, let me just think. There's 3 things that can happen, right? The interview doesn't do what he should be dealing with, right? So he has got the interview, but Craig asked me to give him the 5 points in a video. So I did. I made him a video with 5 specific points. And I said, I want you to present these 5 points to Musa and take him through each of the 5 and explain how they're all wrong. Because if what Craig argues, my misinterpretation, if that's correct, then the other 4 leading citations against Musa have got to be addressed, because they're all leading the same point. So I've asked him to address them points in his interview. So Craig will either have the interview and then obfuscate the point within the interview so that the point never gets addressed, or he will have the interview, do what he should have done, which is address the 5 points in the video that I made him. And then Musa's then got to do one of 2 things: either contradict himself, which he's not going to do. He's not going to commit professional suicide by contradicting himself for Craig.
I agree.
Or he's going to have to move the goalposts and somehow wiggle out of what he's written here. Isaac Newton's gravity acted at a distance as if by magic, and general relativity snapped the wand in two by showing that the curvature of space-time, and this is the most damning part, and not an invisible force. Well, Newton's force was an invisible force. Now, whether you attribute it to magic or not is kind of conjecture. It's interpretation, but it's these words, not an invisible force. So he's got to move. He's got to find some wiggle room. So he's not going to commit professional suicide, but he has to wiggle it. He's got to wiggle. He's got to squirm his way around the word in here to try and change what he says and what he means, because he's got Caltech and he's got Brian Cox and another article written by himself and another article all supporting the association, which is that Einstein superseded what's it called, Newton. But let me just show you this one before we disappear off this topic, before we come to John. If we go to the definition of space-time according to Wikipedia, look what it actually says in this. I'll have to do a search for the word. Superseded, the word is. There we go. So in the definition for it's a lot further down here than I actually thought it was. Maybe it's at the top. No, all right, okay. So in the definition for space-time, when we go down in the Wikipedia article, it literally says in black and white. In addition, Einstein. Oh shit! It's maybe not the right one. Hang on. Maybe I've got the wrong one here. Hang on. I'm sure it was in the early couple of paragraphs. I'll have to come back to it. I did this on ad hoc. John, have you finished eating?
Yeah, I'm just about there. I don't see the problem here. George Mustard comes out here. He's through. He is through. I can't. I'm hoping. I'm pining for him to come out here. We need him out here. There is no way that he can walk around this issue. It's plain. It's apodictic in his article, right? Everyone that's involved in this or has any idea of Einstein and Newtonian gravity knows this prima facie. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. Just read the passage that he says, right? How is he going to get out of that?
So when you look at the definition of, am I still on, Nathan?
Why do we have to look up definitions? Not an invisible force, space-time, not an invisible force gives rise to gravitational attraction. It's over.
Yeah, I agree. And Nathan, are we still on?
Oh, I was on mute. Sorry. Yes, you are.
So when you type in general relativity, which is Einstein's model, right? General relativity generalizes special relativity and supersedes Newton's law of universal gravitation. The word he uses is supersedes, which is my position. That's what I'm saying Craig misunderstood and doesn't get. Einstein didn't add to or furnish or support or refine. He superseded it. Literally says it in his own definition. So what Musa's now got to do is he's got to cleverly, cunningly manipulate these words to get wiggle room. Because I accept that there's an interview. I think he's probably obfuscated the point so that the interview doesn't close with the point that he should be closing with. Or he's got to do wiggle room. He's got to create obfuscation within the words to get round the idea that basically the curving of space-time is what's supposed to be the current science for gravity. But the problem is, if it is the curvature of space-time for gravity, then what's holding the atmosphere onto the Earth to stop it from bursting into space because of the pressure? Because there's got to be some kind of force, right? But Einstein's gravity isn't a force. It's a mathematical concept. So if we can establish that Einstein did replace and supersede and snap the wand from Newton, then you guys are fucked when it comes to the pressure, because you need a force to keep the gas pressure on the Earth. But if it's mathematical by concept, there's no explanation for why we have an atmosphere on your model, because you can't apply Newtonian principles if Einstein replaced it with a bit of maths. That's why it's important.
These Fargan bastages have been screwed for about 3 years. Ever since they came out, they've been screwed. They're too stupid to even know it. But that's all right, Georgie Porgy. I want you coming out here. Me and you got a meeting, brother. Thanks.
Well, he's not going to get enthralled into it, but I have to be honest, credit's got to be given to Craig, Fight the Flat Earth, for getting an actual written a published scientist in a conversation, because that's really good. Kudos for getting it, because I didn't think he would. What he's done in the interview is a different point, but also credit's got to be given to George Musa himself, because to be challenged by people on our side is really good for the community itself, because these guys are accountable. This is peer review. It is on topic. We're not being personal. We're challenging the citation that he's presented, and we've got to credit the guy for coming on and being accountable. However, let's look and see how does he get out of this, because he is cornered. He's got to move the goalposts, or he's got to not agree with Craig, or between him and Craig, they've got to obfuscate the point so that they never get the point concluded whether or not Einstein did supersede Newton principles for gravity. It's going to be one of them three, but either way, they're all knackered. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm definitely not sweating.
Any chance you can bring up Google Earth, Anthony?
Well, they're still fucked anyway because they still can't prove the force regardless.
Yeah, but this is all to do with Craig's ego, and it's whether or not Craig's interpreted what he thinks Musa said correctly or not. I mean, it's
His
quite
ego.
clear as far as all.
He couldn't pass 5th grade general science. Neither could Musa.
No.
So ego.
Well,
Come on, guys. He measures the distance of the sun when he's bored. Okay.
Unbelievable.
So, to be honest, right, Nathan, I've got it up. What would you like?
Okay, so if you can get to Punch Train. So I'll give this a little bit of an introduction while Anthony's doing this. So on one of the debates, I think it was the end of an after show, John brought up Lake Pontchartrain and pointed out that on one side of the shore, this map shows 0, there or thereabouts, and on the other side of Lake Pontchartrain, the map shows 0. Now it is asserted by our adversaries on the globe side of this argument that there is a measurable drop from this position at this side of the lake, calculable in a curve calculator. Now, if this is the case, you would expect to see a drop. Their counter to this argument is that a curved surface is always referencing 0. It's measured to the centre of the Earth. This is their response. That's my intro done.
Yeah, they think they live on a level curve. Globetards, do you even know what your religion is?
So
Is there a globetard on the panel?
There isn't, but I would like 10th Man to just pipe up. Are you there, 10th Man? Probably not. Terrible timing.
Okay. Let me take this out.
Go ahead.
It seemed when I presented that, it was just off the cuff. You know, I was just screwing around one night, and I think it was last week, and somebody said something about Soundley's Causeway Bridge, and I said, you know what? You take a look at Lake Pontchartrain. I want to look at each shoreline where the north side and the south side of the bridge. So I said, let me take a look at this. Of course, I already knew what was going to happen, right? The elevation levels at the north side was 1 to 3 feet, and the elevation at the south side was 1 to 3 feet. So, and the question is, if the bridge is curving, that is dropping, you understand this, globetards, what your religion says. Every point along a tangent from your feet drops away from you at 8 inches per mile squared. That is vertical drop. Do you understand that? I don't think you do. You don't live on a level curve. So
yeah, it's in the calculator, but they don't understand it. It says drop.
They think they live on a level curve or something. And a couple days later, I got some serious blowback. I'm getting messages from people I haven't heard from in years saying, boy, that was really stupid, QE. That was really stupid. I'm sitting there, what are you talking about? And they brought this up. I'd already forgotten about it, right? But there's more people bringing it up. Roofy did on Arwen's show yesterday. I didn't catch that. Thanks for giving me that video. We're going to go over that here in a couple minutes.
It was good, wasn't it?
But since you ever hear of a tell, You know what a poker tell is? Clown
Tell.
shows.
Yeah, it's when
So
you raise your eyebrow without realizing it.
exactly. So you could have just been quiet. I would have forgotten about it. I would have just moved on. However, since you brought this subject to the fore and are causing a big brouhaha over it, I'm going to spend the next 8 weeks on it and show it what retards you actually are. So, Anthony, do you have this? Do you have it up, or do you want me to do it?
He's got it up at the moment, so the public can see the Pontchartrain Bridge in Google Earth, which is good enough. I think he's disappeared actually away from his computer for a moment, but we have got Pontchartrain on screen.
All right. Can he show the elevation levels? I mean, we don't really have to do it. You know, the elevation level at one shoreline is 1 to 2 feet, and the other shoreline, 25 miles away, is 1 to 3 feet. So they're the same elevation. So how can you have a flat curve? You understand this, crayon munchers?
So if you can
Please
just do
explain that to us.
if you can zoom out enough so that the keep zooming out, and then you'll get the feet in the bottom corner. At the moment, we just can't see it below where it says Google Earth. See that, Anthony?
Me? Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get it on screen because we couldn't last time. But if you can zoom out of the actual window size or reduce the size of the window.
I don't think that'll work.
Really? That's it. There you go. It's on screen, or it was for a second.
It's to do with the. Can you see it now?
Yeah, that'll do. Just about.
Yeah. So you want to see it here, don't you, on the ramp?
Yeah. And then if you can hover your mouse over the elevations, people will have to zoom right in. It's still tiny, obviously.
Saying 3 and 4 feet. 5 feet at the top.
And then if you go to the other side, if you can just go to the other side.
But don't forget, we know that when we did the Isle of Man stuff, that you can add 50 meters onto this. That's like 150 feet because that's what it says. That Google Earth
Don't
is
worry about
inaccurate
that.
by.
Don't worry about that. We're going off mean sea level. Go to the other side of the bridge.
Yeah, he's there now.
And
5, 6.
So the shoreline is what?
There's about 6 feet above.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
above zero.
you got a problem because point A and point B, 25 miles apart, are basically essentially the same elevation, globetards. Did you forget your religion? If the bridge is curving, it has to have drop. Drop means vertical relief. You know, drop vertical, and then things don't drop horizontally. Okay? So we're going to stay on here for the next 8 weeks. So do you guys got anything to follow this up? Because I want to share my screen here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, sure. I mean, go ahead, Anthony.
Is it right that we do this without any baller in here, or should I play the part of the baller? Because I do know their argument for this.
Be Johnny Globetard. There's 2 gaps on the panel if a Glober wants to dispute this. There's been a fair bit of blowback. I would expect somebody to want to join, given that there's a link to the public and we're discussing it right now.
I don't mind making their point badly for them.
Go ahead.
John, you understand that level's not the same as flat, right?
Really? Level doesn't equal flat?
Oh, I heard Tim Osman. I heard a clip of Tim Osman talking about this. He was ridiculing you. And he was basically asserting the point that flat is not the same as level. It's flat on a flat plane, but on a sphere it's level because it's relative to the center of the center of the sphere.
That's a married bachelor. Level and flat, or level and curve, are mutually exclusive. Any retard knows this.
Yeah, we really need a baller because I don't feel comfortable. We need a baller because I don't feel comfortable being this stupid. I can be all stupid on my own. I don't need to be a ball tard to be stupid.
You're gonna get raked over to coals. Thanks a lot. Is my screen up?
You're on, yeah.
Yeah, Merriam-Webster: level, flat, plane, even, smooth means having a surface without bends, curves, and irregularities. Are you seeing this, ball tarts? You understand this? See, level and flat and curve are mutually exclusive. They're not the same thing. Let's define drop for you, since you forgot about your religion. So, drop, to fall vertically. have an abrupt descent. From Oxford dictionaries, let or make something fall vertically. Drop. Height, altitude from Merriam-Webster. Height, altitude, elevation, mean vertical distance. You guys understand this? See the connection yet? Any fluoride mainliners out there? So, Roofy
No,
yesterday.
it's just Earth curve, man. It's just Earth curve. Everything's Earth curve.
Oh, wait a second. Roofy yesterday on Arwen's show. Get a load of this. Roofy.
Roofy.
This is what Roofy, Ruhif, the one that ran away when he got challenged about his fairy tale evolution. Yeah, I haven't forgot about that. But let's go with this. Roofy. This is what he says. So you understand that an area with the same elevation is a curved surface. I mean, this is beyond ICD-10 F72 code.
Did he really say that?
Yes, he did. And he said this. Sea level is a curve. So
Yeah,
Roofy
that's their religion,
and all
isn't it?
the spinning baltards lives on a level curve. That's what this is. This is what this is boiled down to. I mean, this is so retard. It's almost impossible to encapsulate in language.
Absolutely. Hey, Ranty, how you doing? Good to have you.
Yeah. The
To
thing
me,
is,
to me, it just shows desperation.
well,
It just shows me that they're that desperate that they're willing to literally change the meaning of words in order for these words to fit their narrative. It's really
I can
pathetic,
agree.
to tell you the truth.
If you actually tell them about Bissell Plains, their head's going to explode.
Yeah, we don't
Because
need to worry about that. We're going to spend the next 8 weeks on this.
Because
All
the
right.
Bissell Plains, they cover more than 50% of the Earth's surface, and they're flat.
Is level curve?
in their model, yes.
I mean, these are married bachelors.
I just got to make a slight correction. Sorry, Ranty. You said in their model it is. Well, no, it's not actually. In this Google Earth model, it shows that it's flat.
Yeah, it's height above the sea level, but they say that the level of the water is level, but it's not flat; it's curved. So it's something that it is difficult to understand. It's something that I had this with the Globers about 2 years ago, and we went back and forth for such a long time over it that I had to understand that this is what they believe. This is what they believe. This is what their model shows, and the only way you can disprove, or well, in my opinion, the only way you can do it is by actually doing like a 3-mile test or something next to water, where you can physically observe whether or not there is an actual drop or not. But yeah, that is their model, mate. I mean, it's just the way it is. They will say that all water is being pulled to the center of the Earth, and it will still be the same height above sea level from 20 miles at a different position. It will still be 1 foot or 2 foot above actual sea level. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's flat or curved.
But by definition, it does. But by definition, it's what they're describing is flat. If they say it's not below the same level, because that's what you would necessitate for it to be curved. A drop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. You said you wanted somebody to come in and say their side of the argument, and literally, this is their argument, and in my opinion, I have to say that I can see where they're coming from on this particular point.
Where they're coming from, so you're going to show us how a bachelor can
No,
be married.
I'm not going to show you anything.
Please,
because
go ahead.
I actually want to do some observations that disprove this notion. Technically,
wait a second. We don't need
tests.
any observations. Is level curve?
In their model, yes.
Well,
right,
that's
I was going to
reification fallacy. Who cares?
What I was going to say earlier was ask 10th man, but he dropped just as I was asking him to go through the law of non-contradiction again.
That's right. This is a law non-contradiction violation. They're holding two mutually exclusive thoughts or concepts together as true at the same time. This is so far beyond moron. I don't know. I don't know.
Isn't this what Craig's doing?
Contradiction.
Isn't this what Craig's doing when he believes that Einstein supported Newton when actually everybody else says that he replaced Newton?
I don't know.
I think that's just stupidity.
Oh, okay.
This is beyond stupidity right here, folks. So we're going to
Yeah.
stay here because this is such a simple proof that they're crayon munching morons. You can't get around this. Level and curve. They don't know what their religion states. They keep on forgetting about this. Every point along a tangent from your feet drops. That's a vertical drop away from you at 8 inches per mile squared. Did you guys forget about that? So we're going to just stay, we're going to drop anchor right here.
Drop means curve too, and flat and everything. Everything is curved, Johnny. Johnny, go ahead. You don't know that?
Hey, we could stay here since we're on Soundly. Tickle me soundly,
God.
doll. Why don't we just stay here and talk about the power lines?
Yeah, let's
Since
do it. It's on screen. I've got you up, so why not?
Yeah, I pummeled those the second day it came out. Let's go. Let's take a look at these here. If I got, oh, there we go. So we have, this is from Johnny Oops, right? This is his picture. Look how, this is the same angle, or pretty much the same angle Soundly had. So let's take a look at this. I want to make sure you guys see it. So you see these power lines right here? The 3 power lines? Look at it. Everyone see that?
Yeah. The one's going off
All
into the
right.
distance with perspective.
Where are you? Okay, here's Soundly's. So you guys see the same 3 power lines? This is from a slightly different angle. It shows curve. It looks like there's some curve here that the power lines are going over the curve of the earth, right? That's what it shows. Of course, Johnny Oops say, well, where's that curve at? Don't see it. What's up with that? Same 3 power lines. I don't know if this is coming through on yours, Nathan, but
Yeah,
there's
it's
the same
coming
3
through.
power lines.
Yeah, it's coming through.
Right, so let's take a look at this. So the total distance of these power lines over Lake Pontchartrain are 15.9 miles. Per Soundly, the viewer height was 35 to 50 feet. So let's just break it. We'll go right down the middle. Let's say his observer height was 40 feet. The distance between each pylon is 0.18 miles. So approximately 88 pylons. So I counted 40 pylons in Soundly's now infamous P900 shot. That's roughly 7 miles with some significant curvature. So let's take a look at this. Louisiana length north to south is 379 miles. Orleans Parish. Now, if you're not familiar with the word parish, that's a county. You know, if you're in the United States, that means county. If you're in England, I can't help you. Orleans Parish is 350 square miles. If these pics and video are true, then we must live on planet Orleans Parish. You freaking clowns. Furthermore, according to your spilling dong narrative, here we go again. Every point along a tangent from your feet falls away from you in every direction at 8 inches per mile squared. There it is again. So the horizons at 7 miles from 90 degrees through 0 to 270 degrees is 21.5 miles. So what they're essentially saying here is that we see significant curvature on the z-axis or the z-axis, which is at 7 miles. But along the x-axis, which is 21.5 miles, it's flat. No curvature. I mean, are you guys snorting angel dust lace shrooms or something? To remain coherent with Soundly's z-axis, the x-axis has to look like this. You see this, Soundly, you crayon muncher? This is the same curve as you got on the z-axis. That's what we should be seeing on the x-axis. It's just that simple. For crying out loud. Do you need any more gasoline tankers with your flamethrowers? We'll stop right there. Any comments?
No, it's the old age-old, what we're observing is only ever going along one axis and follows the lines of perspective, linear perspective, of things getting smaller into the distance, alleged to be things going over the curve of the Earth. However, you look on the y-axis and nothing's happening.
Yep.
Flat.
How can that be? That's a contradiction, right? There's another contradiction right there. There's contradictions everywhere. They can't say more than 2 sentences without the first one contradicting the second one, right? And then they laugh like morons. Well, come on in here, globetards. Give us the best of the best, and please explain to us how level equals curve.
It's a
Because
contradiction in terms.
Google Earth doesn't agree with you. Is that your model? Give us a model to where we have 8 inches per mile squared. That means points falling away from you from a tangent from your feet. Physical vertical drop. Because that's what your religion says.
I'd just like to point out that there is no level curve, there is no drop, and all effects that are claimed to be so are merely the effects of optics and perspective. Hijacked and called Earth curve.
Indeed, Nathan. The one thing I would say is that, I kind of conceded this argument to them because it works on both. If you had a model for flat Earth, it would work on both. That's all I'll say, is that, using this particular notion that you can measure on one side of Pontchartrain to the other and say you're 4 feet above sea level and it's level, and their model would say that that's just the shape of the Earth, and our model just says...
And their model can't say that.
Yeah, I know that.
That's the point, Ranty.
It's their point.
Their model says it's flat.
That's the Google model. Now, if they have another model, go ahead and bring it on. We're going to wait here for you. We want to see your model. Your reification fallacy. Go ahead and post it.
Well, yeah, if Timmy's in, Timmy's one for this, or Soundly. Would they join, do you think?
Yeah.
Maybe if whatever...
Yeah, go ahead, join.
Whatever sock account they used to comment on would like to say.
Have one of their slobber nurses hook them up to the internet. I mean, this is I don't even know I have to go over this. Why do we even have to? We're staying here. I'm dropping anchor here.
I'll answer that. It's not rhetorical. So why? Well, because this immediately gets met with a hand wave dismissal and over-the-top ridicule, what you call a tell.
Yep. This is the end of their fairy tale right here. We don't even have to talk about anything else. This ends it.
That picture drop, I mean, you could just observe it and just say that that curve is too much, and it would contradict the mathematical circumference of what they state.
That's what I just said. Planet Orleans Parish.
Yep.
Yep. But they claim they have a model that matches. Let's see it. I have yet in 3 years to see their model. I've been hearing about it a lot. What is it? A runway model? A computer model? An architecture model? A toy model? Which model is that?
I'll answer that as well. They don't have a model. There is no globe Earth model. This all-encompassing perfect model that works always doesn't exist.
Yeah, if you guys think this is stupid, hold on, I'm feeling my notes. If you guys think that's stupid, watch this. Let's take a look at something here. Okay. Hold it. You guys see this?
Get my crucifix. Evil be gone.
You guys see my little globe here?
Yeah, we got it.
Evil be gone.
I want you to try to focus on this. Get the Adderall drip out. So, and all the newbies out there, what these globetards are saying is, if you were in this position, if you were this far away from the sphere, right, and you had a camera that had unlimited zoom, right? What they're saying is that if you took a look over here is the Hawaiian Islands, right? Now, think of this. Take your time. If you pulled your camera and you started to zoom in on this point over here at 9 o'clock, and you kept on zooming and kept on zooming, there is no way around the fact that you would see this, and this, and this, and this, and this, right, and this, and this. There is no way around it, right? This is how stupid this stuff is. And
I've been waiting to see this for years. I've wanted to see a plane flying on its side from space for years, and it's just not going to happen.
That's right. There's no way around the fact, correct? Can somebody tell me if there's some type of way around the fact? Sorry about that. that if you were in this position, you can't be in this position because there is no vacuum of space, right? Second law of thermodynamics violation. There is no way around the fact if you had a zoom camera that if you started zooming in, there's no way around these facts. Does anyone have an argument with this?
No, if it was curving in all directions, it's curving in all directions. And if something's on the side of a ball relative to you on the top of the ball, then you're going to see it side on to the ball. That never happens because we're not on a ball or on a flat plane, and we will never experience these views or experience a ball Earth beneath us because there isn't one. It's not curving away in all directions, and any assertion that it is merely a hijacking of perspective.
It's funny because anytime I bring something up, Globals like to laugh at me when I say you guys believe that people are living upside down from you, antipodal from your position, because you live on a ball. And their response to that is always, well, relative to where they are, they're right side up. It's like, okay, but let's take John's example and say if you were this far away from this planet and you were looking at the Earth, there would be people sticking to the sides, sticking to the top, sticking to the bottom, upside down in every position because it's a ball. Do you baltards not understand that shit?
No, they don't get it. A first grader can evaluate this. This is what you must see. If you zoom in at 9 from your position to this 9 o'clock position, there is no way around it that you must see that. Can't get around it. That's how easy this is. That's how ridiculous this spinning baltard space monkey religion is.
And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. However, if you're watching this on the live Nathan Oakley stream, Nathan Oakley 1980 stream, then unfortunately this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the live audience for tuning in, smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, subscribing, and all that good stuff. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!